can anybody see my screen? Before I start, I just want to everybody know, just pull up your hand. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, okay. Today we're going to talk about the fun part about how to basically generate the schedule pretty fast. So in my previous Lunch and Learn, I did talk about, how to manipulate some of the schedule and stuff like that. But today we're going to just basically see it more of a live action, how things are done in that process in a live project. So what I have is that I've created a template. I have to go over the template so that you guys understand how a lot of the schedule are done. So what we have is that we have a normal schedule, okay? And you have what's known as the key schedule. What key schedule does is that it basically means the user can enter in as many conditions as they want. And what happens is that it allows the user to choose what kind of a schedule what kind of the hardware is supposed to be, jam and suite number and etc. Same thing for the room. So what I have is that I basically split them up into room, the ceiling, floor, and the walls for north, east, west, and south. So a lot of this, it's customizable. How do you customize it? Is that you go into and edit the schedule. And what you have to do is that you go insert a data role. Okay, so let's say, for example, you have a really ornate, marble. You can just say, okay, I want marble in it. And what happens is that you basically give it a value there, right there. And ceiling finish is going to be PF for pre-finished. And then you can put in marble finished or something like that. You just give it a note. Okay, so a lot of this is pre-configured. This is kind of a template. Now, the first thing you want to do is that if you want to copy to, let's say, a project, the first thing you have to do is that make sure this is open. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to select this key schedule, copy this. At the end of the day, I'm going to give you guys a sample of this. This is going to be used for multiple projects. All you have to do is just copy the same schedule to another project. Next thing you want to do is that, let's say this is a Gilmore Tower. The first thing you want to do is that you want to create a schedule. Okay, right now it's already have something in there. So what I'm going to do is that you could delete them and then just restart over, or you can just just leave it as it is. This is kind of like a key schedule that was created by somebody. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of it. When I paste them in, it's going to be basically saying, oh, it's already found, so it's going to generate to schedule. But if you have like a blank starting out with nothing in it, this is perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I just paste it here and get rid of the title block. You don't really need it. So you want to dedicate one page to just saying, this is my door and schedule, room schedule template. Okay, so that every user, if you want to modify certain things in your schedule, this is the go-to page. Okay, always set one up just so that this is a go-to page. People can go in here and say, okay, what kind of condition you want. Now, the next thing you have to do, configure once you copy it in, is that you have to know what kind of a unit types you're going to have in your project, because this will determine how you want to do it. Can you give me a second? Sorry. Hello. Yes, speaking. Oh, not bad. How are you? Sorry about that. Last minute help kind of a thing. It's always the case. Okay, so what I typically do is that when you have to start anything, you kind of have to fill in this information. Okay, right now I have just a preset, suite A1, etc. And you have to do it as well for the rooms and the doors. Now, the reason why we do this is because this will add a header, okay, to your door. And what it does is that it would determine, what kind of like unit number or floor, unit number, and then what you can all control through this. Okay. All right. So once you have copied in, I'm just going to use the same schedule just as it is. Now, if you want to start with your door schedule, okay, first you can copy this. What I typically like to do is I like to duplicate them. Okay. I'll leave this alone, so leave it alone. And what I typically do is that you go into your schedule. Okay, there we go. And you make a duplicate of this. Okay, just make a duplication. And what you're going to do is that I always put 0 at the front. Okay, the reason why is that sometimes when you scroll all the way down, you know, your room schedule, it's just buried underneath, so there's too much. So what I typically do, I like to put 0 at the front so that this is, you know, that this is your schedule, and then I'm just going to duplicate that. Okay, every time you create a duplication, it's basically it's a different schedule. Okay, but this is kind of like, you know, I make a duplicate of it because it allows you to basically do whatever you want out of this. Okay, first I'm just going to go 0 and 0. Okay, so right now everything's on the top right there, as you can see it. Now, in here, you can actually manipulate this. So what I typically like to do is that I like to select that and just say clear cell. And I like to say door schedule. And then this one you can say, okay, this one is level 6 to roof. Okay, just put it in like that. You notice that it will not change, like this title will not change this. So just keep in mind. What I like to do is that I like to say common. Also put like a level where you want it to be. Okay. Now, in a previous schedule, what we did is that we split the schedule based on, you know, different levels. What I find to be happening is that the more schedule you put in, the more schedule you have to manage. So with this kind of a scenario, what I did is that I figured out a way that you can actually make the schedule to basically have one schedule reading your common doors and one schedule reading for all the suites. Okay, so this is that's why you have 4 schedule here. So you have one door schedule for the commons, one door schedule for the suite, and then the room is the same thing. Okay. Once you have this written down, let's see, I'm going to go rename it suite, door schedule suite. That's fine. And then again, this one I'm just going to say level 6 to roof. Because the suite itself, you don't have to give it a level because we don't want to extract all the suite in this tower. All we care about, if you doing the common area, what you want is that it's going to be a level base. For the suite itself, it's going to determine based on what unit they are. So when you do like 1 unit, typically all you need is just 1 unit. You don't have to do it for every level. Okay, that's a common mistake that a lot of users make, is that they group the rooms inside the suite and group it, and what happens is that your schedule is going to get super long. Okay, all right, let's go in here and let's say we have our schedule already established. The first thing I would go in there is that see, okay, this looks like it's from level 4, so my mistake. So I have to in other schedule I have to do it starting from level 6. So here we're going to say, okay, start from level 4, from roof, and 4 to roof. So what you typically like to do is that you want to basically put it inside one of the, I call it the source view. Okay, within the source view, you should have this kind of a view just show up. And what I like to do in here is that I like to tag all my doors. Okay, just to see what they are. I like to, okay, so since there's no door tags, I'm just gonna grab it from another project. Okay, sorry about that. This project has nothing in it, so I'm basically helping them to set up the door. So the first thing you want to do is that you want to have like a good door tag numbers. See if this is a good one. Okay, so I'm just gonna go find like one of the tags from annotate. Tag by category. Okay, this looks like a good one. So I'm going to do is that I'm going to go edit that and just load it into the tower 3. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is that when you tag all, you have to basically put in all the tags for the room. Okay, So right now, it just gives you blank. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is that you want to go, okay, this is C12. Okay. So what you're going to do is that before you do anything, make sure you have a C12 in your schedule. Okay. So what you have to do is that go all the way down, go to this particular template. And what you're going to do is that in here, you're going to go edit this, and then just say insert data row, and then that's is it C12? Let me double check. Yep, C12. So what this does is that every time when you enter in rooms or doors, it has that value C12. Okay, I'm going to close out of this so that I don't get interfered. Don't save. Relinquished. I'm going to close out of this for a sec. No. Okay, I'm going to close out of this. Sorry, I got too many projects open. Yeah, you don't need to see this. I'll say yes. Okay, C12. So what you want to do is that you want to put in the C12, and then the number is 402. Okay, and then this one here, you're going to just say 402. Now, once you establish that, I'm going to go back to my room. The first thing you want to do is that when you go edit this, the first thing you want to do is that you want to select all the doors. Okay, click on this filter. Okay, check none except for the door. Now, the first thing you want to do is that you see that there is a usage type and number. These are the value that's going to be determining what those individual door numbers are supposed to be. This is where you're going to say this is going to be suite. Okay, you're always going to put in either usage type, suite, or common. Tower location, I like to put in tower 3 so that if you are doing, this is a link drawing. So if you, let's say you're doing the drawing from the central model and then you want to schedule it from the link, what would be the determining factor is that this guy right here, location, where is it? Okay. The next thing you want to do is that you want to say show and schedule, say yes. The reason why is that when I built in the schedule, when you copy in all those information, this thing is actually unique in each group. So let's say this group has a multiple, let's say you copy this multiple levels. If you say yes in one of them, the upper level would not say show and schedule. It would just say blank. Only this one is going to be shown in schedule. So it's very unique. Okay, so it's kind of like a mark. Okay, if you use mark before, it acts like a mark. Okay, so what you have to do is that to say yes, suite, tower 3. Next thing you want to do is that you see that suite and door number. Find that C12. Okay. Once you put that in, you see that this number starts to populate. Okay. And then the next thing you want to do is that finally, you want to put in this room condition value. Okay. I always put 0. I'll show you why later on, what it means. Okay. So those are basically it. You go down. Okay. Figure out what that is. So first thing I would do is that I'll make this thing 02. Okay. This is, let's say 03, for instance. You notice that this number starts to populate. And what happens is that a lot of the doors are based on this two values right here. So right now it's unit type. I'm going to put the C12 as well. So the reason why this door number and this we have to repeat is that this is schedule. It's going to basically show up in here. Okay. And this one, you cannot tie it with the key schedule. That's the unfortunate thing. We're trying to talk to Autodesk about this, making this able to detect with the share parameter. So that way, when you create a key schedule, there's automatically update. Right now, there's no way. Okay, just telling you that you just have to repeat that information. And that suite number, I'm just going to put in 401. Okay, you notice that all the door numbers is 401. Now, the benefit of splitting the values into 2 is that if you're in a scenario where you have to change the 401 to C12, you can do it pretty quickly. But the 0102, it's going to be remaining the same. So let's say, for example, this is 03, and then here I'm just going to go 04, and then 05. It says, you know, I'm just going to do one like renaming just for simplicity. Okay. 7. And then for this particular one, this is no good. Oh, I see. This is part of this. Okay. Sometimes what happens is that you're going to have a link. Okay. This is a scenario where you have a link with this door. There's a way around it, but I won't go to it today, but I'm just going to basically show you how to generate a lot of this room based on this. So the next thing, once you have that, make sure that the entry door, when you select the entry door is the same thing. Oh, this is bad. All right. When they first started out with a lot of this thing, it's that you have to plan out a lot of this before you do schedule. What happened in this particular project is that they have linked this in from the central model and linked this into central model. And when you try to extract schedule, sometimes the schedule is not able to be extracted because you know, it's a lot of things. Okay, so just be aware if you need things to be extracted. Sometimes it's not a good idea. Oh, you see that sometimes, yeah. Cancel. I'm gonna go in there, just change it. Now, if you cannot just simply change, let's say the number. Let's say if I want to change the number to 06, it'll tell you once done group, which means that this thing is repeating. Okay. So you do not want to mess the unit up. So what you have to do is that to fix that, you have to go into the group itself and then go edit and say this is 06. Okay. There we go. So now when you go into the door schedule, let me look into the door schedule. Let's say I'm going to go in here. Okay, nothing is populating. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to go back. And I'm just going to create a title block, right? Just create a title block with a schedule in it. Now, if you guys are confused, just put up your hand, and then later on I'll try and explain it, or just put it like a questionnaire, and then I'll just like basically trying to answer back as much as possible. So here I'm just going to put a called door schedule. Okay, and then the first thing I would do is that I'm just going to put in the door schedule suite. Okay, the first thing you want to check inside the suite is you kind of have to check the filter what it does. Now, the reason why it didn't populate is because when you say the usage type equals suite, the issue with this is that sometimes if your key is off, let's say Revit is very picky when it comes to equal suite, it has to have that absolute value in it or else it just will not work. So what I typically do is that the first thing you want to do is set it up so that it contains suite. Okay. And same thing as here, contain yes. Okay. Contain is a little bit more safer. And you notice that right now it basically organizes based on C12 402. Okay. You notice that the room itself haven't been filled in. Okay, the next step you want to do is that you want to fill in the room. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to fill in the room. You want to tag? Okay, this one haven't had a tag, so I have to go back to my other project. Okay, number 2. But if you're working on like multiple projects and then they're the same, typically if you've done it once in one project, they seems to like all you have to do is just copy those schedule into this. What I'm going to do with the template is that I'm just going to also copy in all this value so that when you load in that particular one, all you have to do is just find the door with that number on it and then just copy it in. Okay, so the rooms. Okay, let's start with level 6. I think that's the first level. Okay, it has the room. Okay, so this is what you want. Edit. And I'm just going to load it into the tower 3. Okay. Now, again, if you want to put in the room, you're going to do the same thing as what you did for the door. So the first thing you want to do is that suite number. You want to add in the C12. Okay. And this is suite C12 401, and then call it a suite. Okay, so what happens is that when you put in a room, oh, I see, this is not doing it. First thing you want to do is that double check this is room bounding. Okay, let's double check and see if it works. Ah, it works now. Okay, so that's a trick. If you have a link, and if the room is not working, all you have to do is just go edit type and then just say room bounding. Okay. Now, when I do my room, I like to create what's known as the room bounding for curtain wall. Okay. If you don't have one, create one. Okay. Call this thing room boundary. The reason why I use this and not the line is that the line itself cannot project multiple levels. It only projects one level, whereas this one projects multiple level. If you create one, make your curtain empty panel as your primary panel, and then say OK. And what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to go click on this and go this join and do the same thing, and then just say put it there. Okay, so you basically want to create entry, den, kitchen, etc., etc. So what you're going to do is that you're basically going to just say copy that, paste it in there, okay, and put it inside a group, okay, so that all the other group is going to basically follow the same thing. Okay, and copy that. So, oops, too far. Sometimes the grip drives you nuts. Okay, I've got a question. Will curtain wall show up in model? Okay, if you have empty panel, when you print it out, it will not show up. Okay, that's the reason why I would use it. The reason why I would use that rather than using, let's say, room boundary is that, let's say, for example, you have this scenario where you have exit stair number 8 and number 9, and you want to project that up multiple levels. So with the room, I could just draw in one, okay? And I could tell it to basically go into, let's say, T3, okay? So basically, that is just one room boundary projecting up multiple levels. I like to disjoint it. The reason why I like to disjoint this is because sometimes what happens is that user, when they modify this, it will get into this this really annoying error. I'm not sure if you guys encounter. You guys probably encounter. There is one called the two element is not editable. This one doesn't have that. Okay, that's good. Because sometimes what happens is that, oh, there you go. This is the error you want to avoid as much as possible. Okay, right now you have 4. That is the reason, because if one person's working on, let's say, the core, the other person's working on the room boundary, and if both of them are joining simultaneously, what happens is that you are interfering with them, and then Revit just doesn't know what to do with this. So how you fix this error, this is bad because this error is very, very difficult to fix unless you cut and paste, okay? If you have a scenario where your drawings, where you already have the thing dimensions tagged, what happens is that if you cut and paste, your dimension disappears and your tag disappears. So this is why I encourage people, when you have this kind of a scenario, this should always be unjointed. Sorry, and I'll get back to you. It'll be quick. All right, so the curtain wall has the same function as the room separation. Correct. Okay, yes, it does. Okay, because what happens is that when you do one, and let's say I'm going to put in a room here, okay, and put a room there. When I go up to the next level, okay, make sure I'll turn on the room. WIP, the room. I like to put in that fill region. Okay, let's say there's your room. Now, when you go up to the upper level and you put in the same thing, right? Let's say I'm going to put in the same thing. You see that you already have one room boundary established, and it basically works with multiple levels. So that's the idea behind using the curtain wall rather than using the using the room boundary. Because what happens is that when you draw one room boundary, it's for per level, okay? And what happens is that it's per level, and you have to do it for every level, and that basically adding in more and more and more objects. Whereas this one just use one object, and then it represents multiple level, which will help you a lot, okay, once you understand how that works. Okay, going back to level 4. Okay, I'm going to start putting in rooms, okay? First thing when you do it is that when you put in rooms, usage type, I always put in this is suite, okay? The next thing you want to do is that this particular condition, I want to put it as C12. And for the north condition, if you know that it's going to be painted gypsum, just fill it in, okay? Just fill it in so that what happens is that when you start populating the room, it becomes much easier for you. And for this one, I'm just going to put in like a base rubber carpet. Sure, rubber base. Ceiling type, I think it's going to be painted gypsum, and then all of it is just going to be painted gypsum. Okay. Now, the reason why I like to populate this is because once you start putting it in, your room schedule is going to start populating. So here I'm just going to basically put it in. You don't care what number they're in, okay? I'm just going to show you how I would configure the numbering for this. And also you want to fill in all the voids and spaces right here, here, and here, okay? Now, the next thing you want to do is that, again, you're going to tag all again, annotate tag all. And here you want to put in room tags. But the room tags, I want to say select entire and change it to number. Again, what you're going to do is that once you have that established, I'm just going to select all of that. And basically, everything's good. Everything's good. The only thing you want to start with is that this is going to be 401. Okay. Okay, there we go. So how you correspond? Your door and room should correspond to each other. So let's say if this is 402, this room has to be 402. Okay. Your entryway is always going to be 01. So this one I'm going to say entry, and this should always be 1. So when you're doing a lot of this suite layout kind of a thing, you kind of have like a form. Like once you establish it, number 1 is going to be this. And I always put the whatever is the patio door to be the last. And then room whatever that doesn't have a door in it should always be the last as well. Okay, so that way you give in all the doors that, like, you know, rooms with the doors should always have the priority. Okay, so this is 03. And this is bathroom. And then this is heat pump, closet. Okay, now if you have multiple closet, like let's say multiple rooms and stuff like that, you always want to put in like what closet they're in. Okay, if this is closet, I always put this is closet 1. Okay, because when site actually see it, they want to know exactly if that's closet 1, and then it wants to tie in with the room as well. So you try to make their life as much as possible. If there's no same room, then just remove it. Just say call it closet. Okay, this is walk-in closet. And 06. Okay, so do you guys kind of get the idea? So basically, when you do this door, you want to do the room as well. So you might as well just kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Most of the time, this is how a lot of the room schedules are set up, because the room itself, whenever you place it in, the door will actually pick up the room objects. Okay, this is a washer / dryer. For 05, and then this is bedroom, and this is 05. And then what happened is that I will go to living room and call this 0607, and then make that 08. So your last door is always going to be 08, and then your kitchen, '09. And then heat pump is going to be the last one, so let's say 10. Again, I'm just going to go back to my schedule. Okay. Let's say I'm going to go to my door schedule. And I'm going to basically put in my room schedule together with that. So you have a suite. You notice that once I put that C12, this thing starts to, okay, you're going to see this. Okay. What this means is that you have two doors or two rooms that has the same number. So what you're going to do is that when you go in there and you see this issue, just go highlight the model. Okay. It's going to go back and saying that, oh, by the way, you have two of the same. So what do you want to do with it? Okay. So what happened in here is that this is 6. So this has to be number 3 or number 4. Let's see. Number 4 is there. Number 5, where's number 5? There. Okay, number 6, number 7. Okay, so this has to be 8. So that's how you tell. Okay, if you have the same, it's always going to basically fill in those information. Okay, and then this one is 9. And then let's make that 11. Okay, so that's how you determine like how that thing is. So right now it's right there. Okay, you notice that when I fill in those information, this is automatic, right? Because it's that room condition value. So if you select the room condition value, this will automatically just put in there. Okay. So next thing you want to look at is that you see that this thing starts to populate. Okay, it's because whatever rooms you've put in, this will start to populate. Okay, so right now what I want to show you is that how to configure this if you have this sort of like blank space. What you have to do is that you have to pull out the room condition value, or actually no, it's the from room to room, and make sure that it's on hide. Right now I just put them in as yellow, means that you can go in there and fill it in whatever value you want. Right now this is not putting in anything because of one conditions. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go back and double check what is wrong with this particular one. Oh, this is level 5. I want level 4. Okay. All right. So right now it's falling into this particular category right here. But the thing is that let's see if the object is actually picking up those room. Okay, you have a scenario where the door just doesn't function the way it's supposed to be. Okay, that's okay. We can fix it. So how do you fix that? So we're going to go back. Okay, you notice that there's a room condition value. Okay, one thing I'm going to put in is that I'm going to call this put a value 1 in it. Okay, what that does is that if this does not correspond to the room, override it with a value that you selected, which is 1. Okay, 1 could represent anything. You see that right now 1 is terrace. Okay, so what you want to do is that you want to go in here, and there is one called the room name override. And before then, I mentioned in my past video how you manipulate some of this stuff. This is what it does. If you have a condition where the door doesn't follow the correspondence what you have. So what you want to do is that you want to create what's called the room condition value, so that you can just have 1 and say what that is. So right now I put 1 as a terrace, 2 is a balcony, 3 it's WD, bath, closet, 2, blah blah blah. But right now I'm just trying to find the one with the terrace. If it doesn't have a terrace, I was just saying, okay, room condition value 14. Maybe I should call that as den. Okay, what you're going to do is that you're going to copy that value, copy that, and paste it back in here. Okay, and right now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go back to this particular one and call this 14. Okay, and when you go back here, you see that the den is 14. Okay, so that's how you manipulate some of this schedule. If it doesn't want to pick up what you have, then what you do is that you force it to go to that particular value. All right. So in here, you notice that the width is blank. Okay, the reason why it's blank, it's because when you start editing this, okay, edit the type, you have to scroll all the way down until you find the double door. Okay, there's a condition double door. It's either one of those values. So let's say, for example, this is a double door. You just check them on. Okay, what that will do is that it will just give you the 2x times whatever that door width is supposed to be. Okay, if you have a double door, it will basically give you that value. Okay, for this particular condition, I'm just going to do the same and say, this is not a double door, just check it off. Okay, same thing as this. Okay, I think you just have to do it once per project. Okay, same thing here. Okay, and then the same thing here. So this is why, you know, a lot of time I would tell users don't create multiple doors, or else you're going to go in here and then check every single one. Okay, what tends to happen is that the more doors you have, the more you have to click on this. Okay, more effort. That's all. Okay. Okay, I'm going to close that. Save locally. Okay, just to be aware of it. So this is why I prefer if user just keep the door to minimum. Okay, always use type and not another family. Okay, so that way you reduce the number of clicks that you have to do. So what the person has to do is that they have to go into the families. You click on doors. You notice that there's door single this, and then you have another door single that's like duplication of this. So what tends to happen is that you have to go through every single one and then clean it out. It's a lot of work. So this is why I said try not to have too many duplicate doors. All right, this one's okay, but this one is like, okay, you have door single 1 and door single. Okay, and sometimes you could have some of this combined back into this. Okay, sometimes I cannot control what people does in the project, but just keep in mind that if you want to reduce the number of doors, this is one way to look at it. You go in here and saying that, okay, this is not a single door. You have to click on each and every one. All you have to do is just do it once. Okay, once you do it once, the door schedule will just react the way it's supposed to be. Okay. Okay, you kind of get the point. Okay. Okay, so this bathroom, I'm just going to go in here and just say highlight it. Okay, and go edit the type, door single. Okay, there we go. All right, so how you determine what door they're in? Okay, so that door, the type, is based on what you have in a schedule. Okay, the schedule should look almost like this. I'll just show you an example. When you have a door schedule, tower. Okay, tower arc. Let's see, arch E. Most of the time, I guess what you guys would probably do is that you have this sort of a door schedule. Okay, you guys have probably seen this, right? So within your project, you're gonna have like, okay, type A means flush, type B is this, type C is blah, and then whatever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what you have to do is that you kind of have to say what kind of door is that, and then tie it with what the type is in your schedule. So let's say, for example, this is a type A door. Okay, let's say, for example, when you select that door, you know, this is kind of misleading. Okay, so what you have is that here you have type F. What that means, I don't know. All right, so again, you always do consulting with your schedule first and see what type of they are, and then this is where you're going to go in, and you see this A material, all the A's. That's what's determining what the schedule is supposed to be. So let's say all the A's, door finished. I'm going to say this is going to be PT for paint. Door materials, PT. Door material is going to be wood. Door type, again, I'm going to put F for now, but it could be an A. I don't know, because typically what happens is that all the doors, it's always going to be flush. It means A, all A, regardless if they're wood or metal. So this is why when you do door schedule, you always want to go by what kind of type it's going to be. If it's going to be a flush, it's always going to be A. Sight light, this is used for exit doors. C is basically if there is like a vision kind of a thing. This is mostly used in parkade, and then double door you got B1 and a sight light, and then different type of condition based on that. Okay, if you're trying to create more elaborate, saying that, oh, the wood door is going to be F and this is going to be that, that's going to be that, you know, you're making your schedule more complicated. And sometimes that confuses a lot of users. So just keep in mind, you always check with the schedule, what they have, okay, and then you correspond to what the type it is inside the project. And most of the time people just say, oh, just pick and choose. And like, this is why I don't put type F in it, because it's very confusing. What I like to do is I like to describe it based on what they are, okay? Go from like the most general door, like right now it's door single, and I like to know what they are. It's going to be wood, metal, okay? And then you basically going to say if it's angle or if it's going to be just a regular, 90-degree swing, and then followed by what's the size, okay? No type F, because type F means absolutely nothing. This is why, when you do your renaming, you're always going to say, I like to say wood, flush, just tell like that as it is, okay? Wood flush, the type F is irrelevant because type F could mean type A, okay? So what happens is that when people copy from project to project, you should see wood, what they are, flushed, 2'8", 6'8", and then if there's a fire rating, that's it, okay? Right now I'm just going to leave it alone, okay? Nope. Let me put it in. PT, WD, F. Frame finish is going to be PT, painted material. Now, this frame type, okay, I will leave it blank. The reason why I leave it blank is because you're going to basically pick it from here, okay? There's one, the jam condition right here. Because in the past, what happens is that you have a metal door put into concrete or sometimes into the furring. And what happens is that people have to create different door types for that condition. So instead of doing that, we just basically going to say, okay, this is going to be pressed metal, or it's going to be wood, frame, interior, okay? What happens is that will basically determine what frame type they're supposed to be in there, okay? So those are basically built into the schedule. So do not fill this in. The minute you start filling this in, it means that you kind of have to check with the schedule, right? Because that determines this guy right here, okay, what they are. And number 8 is suite interior right there, okay? And then the next thing you want to do is that you want to select what kind of hardware they're in, okay? If it's a common door, typically it's a residential. You want to say if it's a common is without the lock, and the privacy it's with the lock. So this one you want to say residential door privacy. And what that does is that autofills the information, right here, okay, hardware. So what that does is that if you want to modify that, you can go into the main schedule, okay, which is right here. And you can modify it right here, okay? Right now, I'm just leaving it as a template. You guys can just put in whatever condition you want. In another project, I have about 20 different conditions. This one, it's very simple. I just put it in there as a reference, and then you guys can just go in there and just modify the way you want it, okay? You notice that this is start to populate, right? That's okay. Yeah, right there. Okay, so that's basically how you tie things together. Any questions so far? No question. All right. Okay, I'm just going to do one like this. This is the suite type. I'm going to do one for, let's say, for the common area, how you do it. So the common area, let's go to like a upper level. Let's see what's a good level. That's no good. Okay, this looks like it's good. Sorry, I'm in a meeting. I'll come back. Okay, sure. Thank you. All right, so right now I'm in, I'm just gonna go and open up the room. Okay. All right, so in here you have no rooms. Okay, so that's fine. So the first thing you want to do is that you want to put in rooms into your, common areas right here. So what you're gonna do is that, again, you're gonna put in a room. This is the first thing you want to change, is that in order to become, it's not a suite, you want to say common, okay? the next thing you want to do is that when you scroll all the way down, okay, I'm going to remove this suite type number because we don't care. And in here, I'm just going to change it to basically concrete, sealer, no base. And one thing that would differentiate between what level this is your level override. Okay, so what level override does is that this one, I'm sure I'm going to go into the sheet and see what level they're in. Okay, in here you see that there's level 10 to 40. So your level override, you want it to be, oops, I'm just going to go in here. So this one I want to put in level, where is it, my level override? There we go. So in here, I like to put in level 10 to 40, okay? So basically, you don't have to put rooms in every level. So what you want to do is that this level itself is going to represent 10 to 40, okay? And what you have to keep in mind is that whenever you generate floor plan, let's say, for example, this is the floor plan here, your room has to correspond with those floor levels, okay? Let's say, for example, you have level 6, okay? Your common area should have level 6 in it. And if you have level 7 to 40, then you need the 7 to 40 kind of a, schedule. I don't know where that 1040 came from. Well, I guess I should say this is common level 7. But, you kind of have to talk among yourself how this is determined. Because this one, I think what happened is that this level got changed so much that, this, I think it was supposed to represent 7, but they put it in 10. But right now, I'm just going to put 10 to 40. Okay, just as a demonstration purposes. Okay, once you have that in, just put it in, okay? I would put it in here, I would put it in here, put it in here, and that's pretty much it. Okay, electrical room. You try not to put in anything, elevator, we don't really care. So all we care about is that if you have a door that goes into here and you have a door that goes into there, that's all we care. So the next thing you want to do is that, make sure you tag them all. Annotate, tag all, and just say room, entire project, and go with number. Now, if you get this really annoying, what you can do is that if you want to basically show tag in every time, click on this little button right here. Okay. And what you're going to do is scroll all the way down to find room. It says that, okay, choose room tags. I would just say choose that one particular and say okay. So every time when you tag all, it's going to go to that. And here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to select those room again. And I'm going to basically say that this is a level L10. Okay, so that's the first thing that the value is going to come up. So what I typically like to do is that when you start numbering, stair always gets the first number because they're consistent all the way up. Okay, you have to determine which one it's going to be starting from the lower to up. So I always put my stair to be number 1. Okay, one side, and then the other side is number 2. Third one would be here, electrical room. Okay, lobby number 4. So anything that doesn't have a door associated with it, I always go the later number. Okay, makes it consistent so that this door will correspond to this room, and this room would correspond to that room. Okay, pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so this one is 05, and then this one is 06. But what I like to do is that when you do your naming, I like to put in corridor number 1 and corridor number 2, because if you say corridor to corridor, what tends to happen is that sometimes contractor on site, they will get confused what door you're talking about or what room you're talking about, right? So I always say number 1 or number 2. If you have 3, 4, 5, just keep numbering until you find, all the number. You have to tag them all, okay? DP stage, we don't care, but in working drawing stage, you have to be very, very cognizant of what room they're in. So this one is exit stair, number 8, and then this is exit stair number 9. Now, something to keep in mind with scissor stairs is that in level 10, let's assume that this is exit stair number 8, and this is number 9. When you go to 11, this has to flip, okay? So what happens is that in level 11, this is 09, this is 08. And then when you go to 12, this is back to 08, and then this is 09. So they have to be alternating. So one person, when they do, let's say a section or something, right, or some sort of stair section, they have to indicate that in their stair section so that user, when they correspond this level, right, make sure they're correct. Some, like majority of the time, people don't get it, right? But you have to do it once, like from the lower level, what's the last stair? And then you basically alternate them as you go up, okay? So you determine exactly if this is stair 8 or stair 9. It's an exercise to itself, but you just have to keep in mind to do that. Okay, just call this electrical room and then call this elevator lobby. Okay, so when it comes to this, what we're going to do is that this one is going to correspond to that. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to say usage type. Since you have suite, right now I'm just going to put in common. Okay. In here, the room condition value, I want it to be 0. If this does not pick up, we're going to use the override value, which I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay. And then here, I'm just going to say this is level 10. Suite number, we don't care because this is such common door. We don't care about the suite type. Jam condition, yes, you have to know. Okay, so this is metal on embedded into wood frame. Okay, metal infill into concrete CMU, pressed metal mullion. Let's say that one, and then hardware conditions again, common exit stair door. Okay, so once you have that in there, this automatically fill. You don't have to do much. The only thing you have to put in, make sure, is that this always say yes. Okay. Anything we want schedule, I always say show and schedule yes. This is kind of like a filter because you're gonna have a lot of rooms, a lot of doors in the project. But what determines how that schedule works is that it's this guy right here. Okay. If it's not mentioned or you don't see it in the schedule, it's because did you put this in? Okay. Now, if it's in the wrong information, then did you put it in the right category? Is it a common door or is it a suite door? Okay, that's the next thing you have to ask yourself. Lastly, if certain things not showing up, let's say the room doesn't show up, did you put 0 in it? 0 means that whenever this has a room, it basically picks this up. Okay, that's how this works. 0 means that use the room. If it's 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever value you put in, it means that it's an override. Okay, just something to keep in mind. Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, I forgot to do this one. So again, I'm gonna say usage type common. This one I'm gonna say this is 03. This is 01, and then this is 02. Show and schedule, yes. Door hardware condition. This one I'm going to say it's a service, common service door. Okay. And jam condition, I'm just going to say it's going to be pressed metal and embedded into gypsum wood. And then this one is going to be L10. Oops, 19. L10. And then room condition value, I'm just going to say 0. Okay. And when you start tagging stuff, let's say I'm going to tag all. Annotate and say tag all and say door tags. You notice that starts to pick in. Now, the other thing I have to mention to people is that don't use opening that acts as a door. Okay, this is what happens in this project. Okay, nobody asked for advice and they just put it in. And whenever you say tag all, this thing's going to show up. So it's basically an extra job for the person to go in there and delete them. Okay, you have no other choice. You can probably put in a filter and to filter them out, but you know it's an extra work. So always like whenever you have a door, I'm not going to touch this. I'm not going to change it because somehow this thing, it's a door. Okay, people use certain things they don't understand, and when it comes time to scheduling, it can impact your schedule. So just be aware of that, right? So what I typically recommend user doing is that use an object that is certified. What I mean by certified is that you kind of have to make sure that you use this guy right here, component, and there, I think there should be an opening. There we go. It's one of these guys, right? User defined. But I think this is also someone modify stuff. So again, always ask before you do anything, because you want to avoid having that thing to be scheduled. All right. Once you have that established, then you're going to go back to the schedule. And I'm just going to, oh, where am I? Schedule. Oh, I'm in marketing. There you go, to schedule. Okay, so right now this is a common. I'm just going to go in here. And then this is, again, common. Okay, there we go. Again, this is the same issue. Okay, what you have to do is that you go in there, go filter, equal, contain, common, and show and schedule, contain, yes. There we go. Right now you have two double twos. Okay, you want to go back and check why. Let's see. Let's see what this is. Why is there two number twos? Oh, I see. All right, let's go back. All right. Okay. Now, if this thing cannot pick up the room, the next step is that you kind of have to put in a value. Let's say this one is 2. There we go. That starts to show up. So how you force it to pick up the room, again, you're going to go in, sorry, finished. You're going to go in there, click on the room override, edit that, copy this, okay? And then you open up a notepad. You notice that room value 1, I'm just going to put that as 8, and this one is going to be 9. Okay, and then copy that, paste it in, and say okay. There you go. It changes that. So this is why I said, you don't have to spend hours and hours figuring out what that door becomes or whatever. You just basically just put it in there. Okay, from room to room, I want to basically show it. Right now it says that it's corridor 1. Okay, that's not correct. Okay, so what happened is that you're going to go back in here, select that door. Again, I'm just going to put that value as 1. Okay, since 0 doesn't work, right, it basically picks up the corridor wall. Okay, and then when you go back in there, you see that stairs becomes 8 and that becomes 9. Okie doke. Any questions so far? Okay, for sorting, what happens is that it's going to use the level override. Okay, so what happened is that in here, you didn't see that level override, so I'm just going to go back into that stair, that door. Not this one. I'm just going to close that. I'm going to close that level 4. And close that. Close that. Okay, so here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to select the door, and then you have to find that level override. Okay, so here I'm just going to say this is level 10 to 40. Okay, what that does is that it will basically show up right here. Okay, any questions so far? Again, the width is, it's the same principle, what I'm talked about, right? Sometimes what happens is that you need to have one room, one door, one person just go in there, edit the type, and say, I do not want this to be a double, this is not a double door. Okay, it is annoying, but once you do it once, then this is where you see your schedule showing up correctly. There we go, 3 feet. All right, it's 11 o'clock. So once you have this, a lot of this, it should look almost like this kind of a schedule. I'm just going to open just to see, So you no longer have to create multiple schedule in your Revit project. You could just create one that has common and suite. And what happens is that if you follow what it did today, like, what organizes the schedule, it will auto schedule based on what you had. Okay, so right now I'm just going to show you just this example what you can do. So I'm just going to go down to the schedule itself. Okay, so right now I have a common door. Okay, and what happens is that it's basically, right now it's not completed yet, but you get the gist of the idea. Right now this one haven't put the level override, so it doesn't know what it is. So you have 6, 7 to 34, 35, 36, 39, blah blah blah, etc. And then once you go to the suite itself, you notice that it's a massive list because this have a lot of suites, and then you have that A1, A2, blah blah blah, and that determines exactly where from this schedule. I could manipulate it, and then this number will automatically change. Right now I didn't put it in, I just put it as a skeleton so that user can know what to do with it. Sometimes you have a repeating like this. Okay, I have to double check because sometimes what happens is that on the upper level people say yes, right? Whenever you have a repeating unit and the corridor in that particular level people say yes, then yes, this schedule will start having 0101 and stuff like that. So it's something to watch out for. Okay. So you notice the difference between the suite and the typical, the common doors and the suite doors. Suite doors, we don't care about what number they are in. Okay. All we care about is 01, 02, 03. Whereas if you are using the door itself, you see that there's level 64, 64, 65, blah, 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 and then dash 01, 02, 03. So that's the difference between those two. Okay. And this one is just a work in progress. We're just trying to finish it today, and hopefully everything works. And then for rooms, again, it's the same idea. So what you have is that you have basically level 6, level 7, 8 to 34, et cetera, right? So what I told the users is that just fill in the rooms, and later on we just fill it in wherever that information. Okay, this one I didn't do it correctly. They have L60 to 63, which, you know what? Always start with the last level or the lowest level. Okay, so it should be 60. We don't care about 63. Okay, because this thing will cover that 60 to 63. Again, suite is the same thing. So right now I have one suite that's covered. Okay, the rest I have to just put it in for different suite conditions. Okay, any questions so far? Yeah, I covered it pretty short, but if you know how to do certain things, if you have a chat, let's see, any question before I close? Moving forward, this is sort of the schedule you want to kind of like achieve, even though it's very complicated. But once you understand where things are at, it's very simple, and you can have all the rooms, everything control using this kind of a method. Okay, this is I think version 5. I think in the first version, what we did is that for every level, we want to split the schedule into each individual. Let's say level 1, level 2, level 3. In the past, we did that, but what we find happening is that user tends to manipulate stuff within the schedule, and then you cannot control it. Whereas this new method, where it's done in one schedule, and everything is just done in one pieces, so that you don't have to do a lot of the things. So all the manipulation, everything is just done once, and and this is how you do it, sort of a thing. So you have more control. For a person that wants control, this is a very, very efficient method. But the only thing that will show up is that if the user don't put in the correct information, it will start to replicate information like this. Okay, so I have to go in there and make sure that those informations are be taken care of. All right, because sometimes people just put in, oh yes, 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 to every schedule or every door, and then it will start to populate like crazy. All right. If you guys have no question, I'm just gonna leave it right now. And then if you have any concerns or anything, just come by and talk to me. All right, later.